Welcome to Education in Alexandria. The education of young Alexandrians did not differ from the one generally dispensed elsewhere in ancient Greece. At the age of 7, the child was taken in charge by a tutor, who then became responsible for instilling an elementary education, as well as good moral principles.
Oh man, sorry.
It's not the heat that gets you. Well, it might. If the miles and miles of endless barren desert without water don't fill.
Emoji heavy check mark. Live online under the game Assassin's Creed Origins. The uptime begin.
Let me turn my volume down a little bit. It might be slightly loud. Really, dude? Hey, whatever. I don't know where my TV remote is right now, so.
Teaching was generally done outside, in the open air. In the gymnasium, students were taught not only sports, but also topics such as rhetoric, philosophy, music, and poetry. All things deemed essential to one's...
Don't forget, you can still use photo mode at any time.
Okay.
Here, both girls and boys are shown attending a class given by one of the rhetoricians of the era. The team made the choice to show both genders attending class within the context of the game world. Even though it is historically inaccurate, the team felt it was not necessary to prioritize historical sexism over inclusive gameplay.
Okay, so I can understand that maybe while you're playing the game, but while you're doing a history tour, no. But at least they mentioned that. You said we're going through the rest of the tour of Alexandria right now. I'll probably get back to playing the game either tonight or Wednesday. Either way, I'll be back tonight.
MOT megaphone, list of this channel's commands.
Yeah.
FB. IG. Follow. Media. Rules. Tips. Twitter. It.
Okay, what the hell?
Teaching was generally done outside, in the open
Yeah, I
air.
did this part already.
In the gymnasium, students were taught not only sports, but also topics such as rhetoric, philosophy, music, and poetry. All things deemed essential.
3 things are necessary when exploring Egypt: water, a good camera, and an omnipresent voice coming from nowhere.
Yeah, that's great. I already did this part. Is this why I stopped this part? This might have been why I stopped this part. Hey, person number 1. I saw you sneak in here. How you doing? I'm so used to having the camera at the top, but when I'm actually playing the game, it blocks stuff. I guess for the tour I could put it back up there.
Welcome to the Great Library of Alexandria. Near the district of royal palaces and within the Moseon was the most famous library of all antiquity. The Library of Alexandria was built to house all of human knowledge. At its pinnacle, the library was believed to contain over 700,000 parchments.
Oh shit. I believe it burned down, if I remember correctly.
Throughout the centuries, fires and wars between Christianity and paganism destroyed the library, leaving nothing behind. The loss of the building, and more importantly, its vast collection, is immeasurable. As no descriptions are available, the team's rendition of the Library of Alexandria was inspired by the visuals of the Library of Chalcis at Ephesus.
It kind of sucks. Imagine how much knowledge we lost.
While much of the collection was purchased at the government's expense, the library also obtained books through other means. Any books owned by travelers coming through the city were seized to be copied for the library.
What?
The copy would then be returned to the owner, and the original entered into the library's collection.
That's bullshit. They go and take my original copy of my book.
Alexandria offered unrivaled intellectual and cultural attractions. Eminent scholars from Athens, Rhodes, and other Greek centers traveled to the city to learn and engage with other freethinkers. Both the Moseon and the library were at the center of groundbreaking ideas and creative expression.
Wish I could zoom so I could read that. I think it's just repeating what repeats what she's saying. I'll have to check it out when I'm not streaming.
The great minds of antiquity were usually well versed in many disciplines, which were often associated to specific schools of thought. The Peripatetics, the Stoics, and the Cynics were among the most well-known schools of the time. It is clear that Alexandria lived up to its fundamental role as a city for intellectuals, nurturing many great minds whose impact reverberates through our modern world.
Oh, it does. Okay, I can kind of make out the words on the screen, yeah. So it does just basically repeat what she's saying.
Hypatia of Alexandria was a Greek mathematician, philosopher, astronomer, and inventor. Though born in Greece, she eventually migrated to Alexandria, like many great minds of the time. It is there that she became the head of the Neoplatonist school of Alexandria. From most accounts, she was highly respected by her fellow Alexandrians, both as a teacher and a philosopher. With her death, the age of great ancient scientific discoveries came to an end. Callimachus was born in Cyrene and educated in Athens. After his studies, he moved to Alexandria to work in the great library. A poet and a critic, he strongly rejected the epic format of Homeric poems, and instead fervently supported a shorter, more judiciously formulated style of poetry. His epigrams and elegiac poems were emulated by later poets. His work was extremely popular, second only to Homer's own works.
No.
Of what would become modern algebra and
Hello, how is your day going, man?
Euclidean geometry would become one of the most influential systems in the evolution of mathematics.
how the volume of my mic is okay today. I didn't check it before I started streaming. I know my TV's a little loud. I can't find my TV remote at the moment.
How do you calculate the circumference of the Earth with a camel, 2 sticks, and shadows cast by the sun? This is what Eratosthenes of Cyrene described in his principal work, Geography, while he was director of the Great Library of Alexandria. He is credited for the invention of the armillary sphere around 250 BCE.
Yeah, right now I'm just going through the history tour a little bit because my back of my arms are bugging me a little bit, so I wanted to get something in because I was bored and I couldn't sleep.
One viewers, 1 emoji alarm clock, 16M51S.
The earliest known and most complete armillary sphere of antiquity was the Meteoroscopion of Alexandria, with an imposing 9 rings compared to the 3 or 4 of most other astrolabes. Known as the zodiac Krikatoi amongst the Greeks, the Meteoroscopion was used to determine the location of celestial bodies around the Earth. Every self-respecting astronomer of antiquity would have sought to use this tool to better understand the celestial movements.
Wow. I'm going to use photo mode for a second. Get all these fuckers out of the way. Oh, there's no way, but whatever.
All good, your mic is fine. I unfortunately can't stay much longer. I have to be up in 7 hours. My day is good, I am just very bored.
Yeah, you and me both, man. Well, thanks for stopping by, though.
Pythagoras of Samos was a well-known and respected philosopher and mathematician. He is best known for the Pythagorean theorem. However, there is proof that the theorem existed in Babylonia and India long before Pythagoras was born, casting some doubts as to who exactly originated the theorem.
Take that Pythagorean theorem. Alright, how many of these? Holy shit. Well, we can get through Alexandria. I gotta post the first one on YouTube, and I'll post this one later. Get your ass down there. Run toward the light.
Welcome to Alexandria, a commercial hub. The ports of Alexandria were a major commercial hub, effectively connecting Egypt with the Mediterranean regions and beyond. A tremendous amount of materials and goods flowed through the city on a daily basis. The large port market was called the Emporium. It was there that merchandise was traded by the ship owners, called
MOG Megaphone, list of this channel's commands. FB. IG. Follow. Media. Rules. Tips. Twitter. It.
I'm gonna want to come back here and take some pictures, I'm sure.
Food and other artisan work streamed out of Egypt. Ceramics,
What's going on,
glass,
push number 3?
golden rings, and minted coinage. The local potters, using traditional Egyptian techniques, competed with those from abroad, and the textile industry flourished. What Egypt did not produce itself was acquired through trade, using local resources such as wheat and papyrus. Most sought after was pine wood from Syria, iron and marble from the Greek islands, gold from Spain, and exotic fruits from Europe. All this commercial activity contributed to the already decadent wealth of the city.
Oh, cool, I can still move around with this. I never did know that. I'm just going through the history tour on Assassin's Creed Origins. My back and arms needed a little bit of a break, and I couldn't sleep, so I figured I might as well do this. Get closer to getting the trophy. I'll get back to playing the actual game probably tonight or Wednesday. I haven't decided if I'm going to do a IRL tonight. It depends on how my back and stuff feel later.
It's interesting information.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to eventually make a YouTube video soon to send to Sony about some of the accessibility things they can change and what some of the developers can do. And, like, anybody who watches me knows that I get annoyed as shit because I can't zoom while streaming. Especially with some of the stuff I have to be able to read. Get out of my way.
The wood imported to Port Mariotis through Alexandria's seaward ports was used in the nearby shipyards, where most of Egypt's ships were built. Employing tens of thousands of shipbuilders, the shipyards contributed to establishing the Egyptian fleet as one of the mightiest of the era. Any wood not used in shipbuilding was further disseminated through Egypt for various purposes.
I'll wait till I get closer to it.
Glad I finally got to catch one of your streams, was in too much pain to sleep.
Oh, that sucks. No, I just couldn't sleep in general. No, I want to go up. Thank you. I get bored. I just like taking stuff to put on my Instagram or Twitter. People were bugging me that I wasn't posting enough stuff. So. I'm out of my way.
The southern port of Lake Mariotis was the biggest in Alexandria. Save for a branch angling westward, the lake's size in the Ptolemaic era was roughly 40 to 50 kilometers from north to south. Its waters were maintained by a steady runoff from the Nile. In addition to the lake, a man-made canal was created to assist in the transfer of goods from the city to the port using barges, though it is not represented in the game due to its size.
What's interesting in the actual game, like I just, a lot of times what I'll do if I'm bored, I'll just go around collecting fast travel points and just quests that I see along the way. And there are some of the quests that are like way above my level, that are like, you know, 2,600 meters away from where I'm at, or from, sorry. I never really thought of it like that until it actually pointed out how many meters things were. But actually, the Assassin's Creed Origins is surprisingly cripple-friendly. I did not expect it to be as cripple-friendly as it was. There are a couple of things that annoy me, but...
Banking was one of the most distinctive innovations brought by the Greeks to Egypt. The centerpiece of Alexandria's wealth was the royal systematization of taxes on almost everything. Basic items such as salt, oil, beer, wheat, and linen were heavily taxed. As a result, the royal treasury of Alexandria was able to ensure the economic stability of most of the administrative areas of Egypt.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. That's where taxes came from. Interesting.
By the late 12th century, the channel feeding the lake from the Nile silted up. Lake Mariotis lost its connection to the Mediterranean, as well as most of its water, as the lake slowly evaporated to a fraction of its former size. In modern times, Lake Mariotis is being kept alive through irrigation. However, only about 17% of its original size remains.
Give me 1 second, please. Seems like oh my god, how many of these in total do we have left? This is... Oh, that's just one fucking area. Whatever, we'll go in a row. I really want to stab something. This freaking sucks. I mean, I love the information, I love the history, I like the way the everything looks, but I kind of want to stab something.
Welcome to the Mosaeon of Alexandria. The Mosaeon was a sector of the city commissioned by Ptolemy I to rival Athens Academy as an institute of intellectual pursuit.
Yeah, fuck Athens
Dedicated to
Academy.
the 9 inspiring muses, the Mosaeon became a great center for philosophical and scientific enlightenment. It welcomed scholars from many kingdoms, inviting them to share knowledge in literature, science, and geography.
2 viewers, 1 emoji alarm clock, 32M43S.
The Mosaeon was designed so that its buildings and grounds would accommodate free thinking, debate, and presentation. Meeting spaces and theaters surrounded a main courtyard. Expansive gardens were filled with exotic plants that aided in the study and supply of herbs and medicines. A zoo offered the study of animal behavior and physiology. Also among the Mosaeon's many star attractions was its astronomical observatory. Herophilus was a physician who lived most of his life in Alexandria. He was able to perform the dissection of human cadavers on a large scale due to the permissiveness of the city in such matters. Among many other discoveries, he learned that the brain was central to the human nervous system. He also extensively mapped the blood system and measured the pulse with the aid of a water clock. It is reported that in his thirst to understand human anatomy, he performed 600 vivisections on live prisoners.
Oh, yeah. Move your ass.
In order to be free to pursue their research, scholars were fed and housed at the Mosaeon at the government's expense.
Nice.
This freedom provided Alexandria scholars a meeting space for intellectual pursuits and a haven for spiritual peace. Though nothing remains of the original Mosaeon, it lives on as the legacy of our modern museums.
Dude. Thank you.
Emoji megaphone. If you would like to show extra support, please feel free to click the subscription button. Thanks in advance.
Welcome to the Serapion of Alexandria. In a city of numerous magnificent attractions, the Serapion was considered to be the most beautiful temple of Alexandria. Located southwest of the city on a small hill known as the Acropolis, the sanctuary was constructed during the reign of Ptolemy III, upon foundations which had existed since the reign of Ptolemy I Soter.
Thanks for sticking around. I don't know if anyone's finding this boring or something. I wish there was a way I could, I have to find a way to edit. I want to stop the broadcast for just a second when I'm done doing Alexandria, so it cuts it off, and I can export those onto YouTube.
Visitors of the Serapion climbed 100 steps to reach the courtyard. Libraries were installed in the porticos surrounding the square building, with its roof and columns adorned with gold and gilded bronze. Pharaohs were generous to the temple, as were several Roman emperors after Egypt's conquest. An inner temple housed the statue of Serapis, dedicated to healing the sick. Since the 26th dynasty, Greeks in Egypt had gradually integrated the Egyptian cult of the Apis bull to their own rituals. With the establishment of the Ptolemaic dynasty, the cult of Apis was further integrated into Greek religion. During his rule, Ptolemy I chose to merge Egyptian and Hellenic gods into a syncretic divinity named Serapis. This name was the result of the amalgamation of Osiris and Apis. With this new deity, the Ptolemaic
Hey man,
dynasty
I have to go now and try to sleep. If you are on tonight, I'll come back. Sorry I can't stay. Have a good night.
You too. Thanks. That's how a lot of religions actually spread. They would take elements from other religions and kind of add it to theirs to try to convince the followers to be leaned towards the religion they wanted. You'll notice that in Mexico, when the Catholics came, a lot of the gods that they had in Mexico would mysteriously turn up with representations like the gods of the mountain, as like the Virgin Mary and other stuff.
Serapis was also associated to other deities, including Asclepius.
There is no true original religion. They are all mixed and matched together for the most part.
With the Serapis temple
Good night.
preparations, the sick would
Well,
visit
exactly.
the sanctuary, sleeping there overnight in the hopes of being healed within its hallowed halls.
You got my point exactly. Oh damn, this is gonna be a long one.
Welcome to the Islands of Ferris. The Heptastadion was a bridge-like causeway connecting the island of Ferris to mainland Alexandria.
Well,
Its name is based on the Greek terms of measurement, hepta meaning 7, and stadion, which is a measure of length of roughly 180 meters. Since its construction would separate the Grand Port to the east and the Port of Eunostos to the west, it was designed with channels at each end. These openings allowed passage from one port to the other.
Hello. Oh, I want to get... Fine, fuck. I kind of wanted to get a picture from the side. As far as it's gonna go, really? I'd like to actually get the whole damn bridge, but it's not gonna let me. Get off the floor.
Along with creating separate harbors for the commercial and military shipping, the causeway served as a main aqueduct for the island's inhabitants. Its presence also helped protect the island and its ports from rough wind and sea currents. At the end, layers of silt and soil, which formed an important sedimentary deposit.
Shut up.
While the Serapeum was the most celebrated of the temples in Alexandria, many other temples were built within the city. Most of these structures have been completely erased over time, and there is no way to discern how many existed. However, research of ancient papyri offer tantalizing hints as to the possible location of at least some of the temples. Both papyri and coins reveal evidence of many temples built for the gods. Poseidon, the god of the sea, likely had an edifice in his honor west of this island, as well as on the mainland. This temple next to you is dedicated to Isis Feria, the divine protector of the lighthouse. This location hosted annual celebrations in the month of April, known as the Sacrum Feria, in connection to the lighthouse. In her incarnation as Isis Fortuna, the goddess carries a rudder and a cornucopia, both
One
symbols of
viewers
good luck
dash
for
one
navigation.
emoji alarm clock 48M38S.
Thanks for sticking around, person number 1.
Considered one of the seven wonders of the ancient world, the Lighthouse of Alexandria was a source of great pride for the inhabitants of the city. Construction began under Ptolemy I's reign and lasted 15 years. It was completed during his son's rule. Once completed, the lighthouse was dedicated to the gods for the salvation of those who sail the sea.
No, don't spin it. Fucking tree. There we go.
Emoji megaphone, guess what? I can now accept bits and your tears.
Built on the island of Ferris, the stone structure was 3 tiers set on top of one another in a step formation. The second floor consisted of an octagonal tower, and the top floor was a cylindrical tower topped by a statue. The interior provided space for staff rooms and a ramp which allowed the transport of fuel to the upper floors. Essential to safe navigation through the rifts and shallow waters, the Ferris was a functioning lighthouse, with a beam reportedly visible 50 kilometers away. It's unclear what kind of fuel was used or how much. Any other details of how the light worked remain a mystery. For several centuries, the Ferris was one of the highest monuments ever built by man. It measured roughly 110 meters in height, compared to the Pyramid of Giza, which was around 140 meters tall. Gradually, the structure was eroded by earthquakes, and then completely destroyed in 1480 CE, when a fort was built over it. Archaeological excavations on the seabed have uncovered many blocks from the ancient building. Welcome to Alexandria, a commercial hub.
Wait a minute, we did this one already.
Welcome to the Panean. The Panean was a temple built in honor of the god Pan, divinity of nature. This Greek god, often represented as a half-man, half-goat, with a beard, horns, and goat's hooves, was considered the protector of shepherds and herds. Pan's attribute was his namesake musical instrument, the pan flute. His temples were usually located in caves and on high mountains, and were frequented by shepherds. It is likely that Mediterranean cults adopted the imagery of Pan to symbolize the Christian devil. To give proper honor to the god, Alexandrians built an artificial hill upon which they housed his temple to compensate for the flat relief of the city. The artificial mound had the shape of a spinning top or a pine cone, which was accessed by a spiral staircase. The top had a panoramic view of the entire city. Only such heights would be fitting for a mountain god.
All right, one more.
Welcome to the Hippodrome of Alexandria. The main hippodrome of the city was called the Legeon, in honor of Lagos, the ancestor of the Ptolemies. Alexandrians were great lovers of horse racing. They were fascinated by the rivalry of these races. The agon, as it was said at that time, that every competition brought. It was a struggle for glory. The most important chariot race was the Tethrapon. Using 4 horses with the quickest harness to the front right, the charioteer would race for 12 laps, with sharp turns at either end of the hippodrome. The victors were crowned with garlands of olive and received prize money, but the most sought-after reward was to be acclaimed by the works of poets, such as Callimachus and Pindar.
Oh, getting distracted for kid.
Ye hymns that rule the lyre, what god, what hero, aye, and what man shall we loudly praise? Verily Zeus is the lord of Pisa, and Heracles established the Olympic festival, while Theron must be proclaimed by reason of his victorious chariot with its 4 horses. Theron, who is just in his regard for guests, and who is the bulwark of Akragas, the choicest flower of an auspicious line of sires, whose city towers on high, bringing wealth and glory to crown their native merits.
All right, Alexandria is done. Well, got that one done. We'll be posting this up on YouTube. I will be back later tonight. Please, if you watch this video, please like and subscribe. You can hit me up on Twitch. I'll put all that stuff in the description. Thanks.